it's showing that my connection is weak. So if this thing goes out or whatever, I'll come back in and re-record. Hey everybody, this is Julian from Connect to Nicu, and we're here with another Father's Friday. And today I kind of wanted just to talk a little bit about what a father can do to support themselves, their significant other, and the child in the NICU. And I think this is going to wind up being a three-part series a little bit. I want to talk first and foremost about what you can do for yourself, and then what you can do for the child in the NICU, and then on that next Friday talk about what you can do to support your significant other. You know, it's kind of difficult for men in the NICU because, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and kind of say this, but women, they're actually born kind of knowing some of the things that they really need to do as far as being a mother. There's a motherly instinct, and for all the things that women don't know how to do, it's amazing how women network with one another and teach one another those things that they may not be very adept to. So for example, I was sitting in the office yesterday, and there was a woman who, she's closer to my age, so she's a Gen Xer. She's on the young end of the Gen X, and she was talking about being a mom with a millennial, and they were just talking about what it was like having toddlers and this, that, and the third. And the Gen Xer was just dropping all these nuggets of knowledge and wisdom to the millennial, and the millennial was just eating it up. And the way they were talking, it wasn't a teacher-student moment. It was really I could have recorded that and posted that. That was great. But in typical conversations with men, I sit in a lot of conversations with men. I'm about to walk into a meeting right now, and I sit and I listen to men, and men very rarely talk about their kids in the sense of, hey, here's something else you can try, here's something you can do. Most of the time you hear men, they're talking about their children. A lot of times they're talking about it from their perspective, but you may or may not get those nuggets the same way that they're delivered from women. A lot of times when men talk about their kids, we talk about the end product. We talk about how good that kid is in baseball, but not every man typically sits and tells you about the last 3 months of what they did with that kid to bring them up to speed, to teach them how to catch a ground ball. What were the details? You kind of have to ask that. So you wind up getting stuck in the NICU, and you really don't know what to do, because 75% of the fathers who wind up in the NICU had no idea that they were going to actually be there. So you didn't know to ask for information to help you out with that. So one of the things that I wanted to point out was maybe a couple of things that the father can do for themselves while they're in the NICU. Because one of the key things you have to understand is that when you're flying on a plane, before you take off, the stewardess goes over some things that you're supposed to do. And the stewardess teaches you how to put on your safety gear first before helping anyone else. And that's the same way that a father should treat the NICU. You've got to get yourself right. You've got to keep yourself healthy. You got to keep yourself strong. If you're spiritual, you got to keep your mind and your soul balanced while you're there. You got to keep your mind on and your head on as best as you can, because if you're no good, then you're no good to supporting your child and your significant other. And that's very important. So some things for yourself. Number one, that I was really poor at, and it's burning up in this truck, so I'm going to turn on the AC here for just a minute. One of the things that you've got to be careful of when you're a father, and it's something that I was really bad at, was eating. You've got to eat. You've got to watch your nutrition. And it's okay to eat this, that, and the third. It depends on what your budget is. But at the hospital, when I was in the NICU with Jutu, I had access to the cafeteria downstairs. The cafeteria was ran by management who was looking at a lot of nutritional values. So there were a lot of nutritional things that I could eat down there. I told them that I was staying upstairs with my wife and child, and they looked for me. They told me what was going to be down there, what was going to be served each day. They helped me put together kind of a meal plan because I was working out at the time, and so that helped out immensely. And it does great. So make sure that you're eating properly. Number 2, sleep. Now, if your kid is in the NICU, you're not getting much sleep at all. I didn't really get much sleep, but you have to get something. So figure out what your bare minimum is. And I know there's some people out there saying, Julian, I can't believe you're telling people this, but I want to keep this as real and honest as possible. You may have to look at what the minimum amount of fuel you require to make it from day to day and take it day by day. I knew that I needed somewhere around 4 or 5 hours of sleep out of the 24-hour period in order to continue to function. So I have a work schedule that I can manipulate pretty well. So I may have not been able to get my 5 hours all back to back, but I could get my 5 hours throughout the day. And my family members and friends, they could tell when I got my 5 hours, and they could tell when I didn't get my 5 hours. It was very obvious. So make sure that you are getting some type of sleep. You are not as good to everyone as you think you are without sleep. You don't think as quickly. Your thoughts don't come together very well. You're not very nice. I hate to say it, but I just got to be blunt like that. And you're not thinking with the love and the level of love that you really should for everybody else. So food, sleep, and number 2, you need to step away. If you spend 100% of your time in the NICU, you will stay in a place. There are 3 stages of stress. You will go from phase 1 into phase 2. And if you go from phase 2 too long, you will go into phase 3. Phase 3 is when you have disease, disorder, and things worse than that. And you don't want to be in the hospital. You don't want all 3 of you to be in the hospital. You've got the child in the NICU, you got your wife or significant other who's recovering, and you don't want to make number 3. And they joked with me a lot about that. While I was in the hospital, they talked to me about the fact that, hey, we're watching you because we know that fathers oftentimes wind up in the hospital as well for different reasons because they're stressing themselves out and this, that, and the third. So make sure you step away. And when I say step away, it might just simply be you walking in the parking lot. I saw fathers literally walk out of the hospital, go walk across the street, go to the Wendy's, sit down, eat a sandwich, then walk back. You just need to separate yourself because you got to remind yourself that when all is said and done, there's a strong possibility that all 3 of you are going home. And if that is the possibility, you've got to hold on to that hope. And you've got to be in, but hope works based off of the things that you oftentimes see. Faith is based off of things, hope for the end of things, not, but hope is an entirely different substance. You got to see things in order to build that hope. And so being able to get outside of the hospital, being able to step outside, you might want to go for a drive. You might need to drive away, go get a snack, go to the store. What I would do sometimes is I would look at baby, and seriously, I would go look at some baby things online. I would literally leave the hospital and I would look on my cell phone and look at baby items at times, just simply because I wanted to remind myself that, hey, we're coming home. And I'm gonna be pushing a stroller, I'm gonna be carrying little man on my shoulders and everything. And that's what gave me the hope to progress. And you've got to remember, if you don't take care of yourself, it's not going to be possible for you to take care of your significant other as well as your baby in the NICU to the best of your ability. So that's all we got for today. It's great seeing everybody online. We will be talking to you guys again next Friday for Father's Fridays. This Friday we talked about what the father can do for themselves to support themselves in the NICU. Next Friday, we're talking about what you can do for your little one in the NICU as a father, what you can do to support them. Make sure that you share this on Facebook. Continue to like us, continue to follow us, continue to share these links on Twitter and on Instagram. We look forward to seeing everybody soon.